Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Michael, and we're going node by node in gumloop, seeing what we can cook up with single nodes, because if we can understand what's happening in the single node layer in gumloop, then we can understand how to better connect them. So now we're going to jump into the web scraping node with that first one, web scraper. Web scraping is very simply giving a link to gumloop, and it's scraping the information it can from that page. So you can think about is if you go to a web page, so like open source is happening in the Bay Area with a bunch of YouTubers and hardware projects. If I wanted to be able to map out the YouTubers and their YouTube pages, I could click and navigate to each one of these, or like if I was doing this manually, I could do like Control A, try to copy as much information I could and see what that looks like. So how web scrapers work is it's almost like they're doing Control A, Control C, but they're pulling it in from like the HTML side. So they're pulling in information, all the information on the web page. So let's just try this out. So we're just going to throw in the open source featured creators. We can do loop mode. So if you had an input of multiple pages, you could scrape. We have an advanced scraping option. So this is specifically for if there's certain blocks from websites and you need to be able to use proxies. Only adds 1 credit to the node, which is not bad. We'll try it without it first. And then we also have timeout options. So timeout is the time at which the scraper is waiting for the website to respond. And there are so many things that can block AI scrapers right now, or web scrapers. So this is just make sure that it doesn't just trying like forever and it actually moves on from this one. So let's just run it as is to see if we can get see what information we can get, if any, from this web page. And so when you think about web scraping, you can use it to collect information if you're doing research for a summit or on an organization, get to know their team. You can then take that information and then search the web to see what people's backgrounds are. So for this, we're saying, can we grab all of the creators who had open source? And I'm really curious, will this actually grab the YouTube links too, or will it just grab the names? So let's see. Scraping content from output here. Nice. So we see we have that text at the headline too, right? So we've got featured creators, so it's pulling out that text. It's pulling out the header text, so we got that. And then nice. So in terms of featured creators, we have everybody's name. Cool. At least loaded on that first page. So what we could do then is we can use the extract data node to say, hey, pull out all of the single names from here, add it to an Excel sheet. But now we have all the creators' names who are featured here, and we could use that in a future workflow. So nice. So we got that information. Let's see. So let's say you're scraping like a competitor's blog. You're getting inspiration for yourself. Let's see what this looks like if we start scraping something like a visual gallery for a blog. So I filtered some recipes from Minimal Baker. Let's do that. And let's see what kind of information is here. And again, I find it helpful to run before connecting into an entire workflow. It's really helpful to run like one node at a time just to see what that output is, because based off that output, it'll depend on how you process that information, how you format it, especially for wherever you're putting it, whether it's a Google Sheet, a Notion folder, or a Notion doc, or somewhere else. So it's helpful to run kind of one at a time as you're building out a full workflow automation, so you can kind of get a sense. And when you start thinking about being able to connect this to other things too, you could probably do web scraper format to web scraper. So like for the open source creators or for these recipes, we could see if we can get the information like the links or the names, and then based off of that, we could then scrape the full web page itself too, so you can start connecting them. So let's see what this information has. So we've got the same information up top, all the information, search for recipes. Nice, and we've got the name for each recipe. And that's it. So there's no links specifically. So scraping is really just pulling the text from that page. And so let's say we had one specific recipe. Let's see what that looks like. So it's good to know that based off of the scraping, we don't have the links. The links specifically being like this particular link. It just can read. It can just read the text on the page. So we'll run here. Nice, and we can see here it's pulling all the information from this recipe, and it even pulls the comments too. So what you could do is, whether it's a blog post, whether it's something you're monitoring, if you could pull out this content, what you could then do is use an Ask AI node to format it. You can start tagging it in your own database if you wanted to pull in and scrape in, like you're at a Notion page of all the different recipes you wanted, or whatever that information was that you were collecting. You also could process it being like, hey, like what are ingredients if you have allergies, like is the allergy mentioned? So once you have this information, there's a lot of things you can do. And again, notice that it's really just pulling the text here. It doesn't actually have like the images too. So that's something to note, at least for the web scraping. And let's do advanced. Let's see if the advanced setting changes anything. And let's just do the advanced scraping. Interesting. So the advanced scraping, it does actually pull out the links, which is really interesting. So that actually could be helpful especially if you're grabbing information that you want to link to later or extract out. So good to know that the advanced scraping actually pulls out more information, especially if you're looking for it. So the last one common thing used for scraping is like competitor pricing. So you can monitor sales. You can monitor when prices go up or down. So you can imagine this gum loop running every single day on something like AirPod Max to see like what their prices are. So if you were selling headphones or you're monitoring the headphone market, see if it goes up or down. So you could run this every day. And the reason, let's run this on light to start. Again, there are some websites that they don't want their website to be scraped. They know that people are scraping it for like competitive business reasons, or there's a bunch of AI bots now scraping information to feed LLMs. And so Amazon is one. Let's see if we can actually get the information. Amazon is one that sometimes blocks scrapers, especially AI scrapers. Interesting. Okay, so it works. So if you were doing something like monitoring e-commerce pages or Amazon pages, we actually have the price here. And let's see what the normal price is. The normal price is $129. So let's see if we also have that somewhere here. $129. Control F isn't finding it, but let's see. And we see it's pulling a lot of data, so I'll have to clean this if we wanted to put it somewhere. Interesting. You could also use this to pull similar products too if you're doing competitor analysis. We also have initial comments, which is cool to see too. So let's go up here. So maybe the main price is there, but it's not clear after first review where that would be. But this is just after a quick search. Main goal, try different pages, see if they get blocked, see if you run into any errors. And then the main goal for this workflow is you could connect now. Think of this like an input of a whole bunch of different links. Could be different recipes, different blog posts, different prices you were monitoring. Scrape everything, update the sheet. You could then use that data to do certain things like notify me when prices change by 30%, or even do different analyses like, hey, show me when this keyword is mentioned or that keyword is mentioned. So that's the web scraping node. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop them in the comment below.